Hi Virgo, my name is Tiffany from Tiffany's Tarology, and it's so nice for you to be here. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for joining me again. And if you are a new viewer, welcome to the family. We're going to dive into a weekly reading for you, Virgo. We're going to pull 2 or 3 oracle cards from my Earth Magic Oracle deck and see what it is that Spirit wants you to know this week. I've already cleansed your cards and asked that your angels and spirit guides join us. First card we have is childhood. Second we have is full moon. And we're going to pull one more for you, Virgo, and see what the main themes are. We're going to use this deck as well as the Green Witch Oracle. And we are going to dive right in. All right. So, first card we have here is Innocence. We're just going to take a couple seconds to really just absorb this image. There is a beautiful cloud cover that's surrounding the sun and is projecting down onto this little boy and little girl. They're looking up with a lot of childlike wonder, and there's just a lot of innocence and kind of vitality that we sometimes run away from or run out of. Full moon, completion. So there's a major chapter that's coming to a close for you with this full moon in Leo coming up in a couple of days. Milky Way perspective. Wow, this is beautiful. So immediately what I'm hearing, Virgo, is that it's time for you to step out and do what it is that you've been wanting to do for a really long time. It may have been that there's a childhood dream, a childhood thought process, a way of living, being that you've desired for a really long time. It's going to be very different for all of you. So this could be some of you diving into that dream you had as a kid for your career. For some of you, it's going to be the way in which you live your life. There's a farm here, so I'm not sure if some of you are really kind of getting back to grassroots, getting back to the basics, learning how to grow your food, living off grid. All of those energies are coming through. And I really feel that if you take this time, Virgo, to really look at the innermost parts of yourself, the child that is within you, you're going to see a lot of beauty begin to resonate in your life because you're living out those childhood dreams, those childhood desires that came from a very innocent and playful part of your soul. So there's this need to reconnect back to those passions, those desires, those ways of living, feeling free, dancing, playing, things like that, okay? With the full moon being this week, this card is so timely, Virgo. There is going to be something that's illuminated for you, a cycle that you're completing. I feel Spirit saying there's a karmic chapter that you completed that's allowing you to go into this next chapter with this full moon in Leo. You're getting your groove back. You're starting to see things in a new perspective. 6 months of change and newness. Deep depths of your psyche and your soul. I really feel that there's this need for you to understand that the way is not always easy, but with the completion of this cycle, you're going to be stronger, you're going to be better, you're going to be able to see yourself in a whole new way, which is why I love that you got the perspective card. Virgo is really grounded. I know a lot of Virgos. I am married to a Virgo sun, Taurus rising, so he's very earthy, right? When you see this perspective, it makes you realize within this vast universe that you are but a speck and your life is but a speck of time. So maybe you've gone through some really deep introspection that's coming out with this full moon over the last 6 months. You've come to understand your place in the universe, understand what is important to you, what's not, who you value, who you don't. And you probably are beginning to see yourself in a new light, which is why I see, again, a lot of you are going to be making transition to do childhood dreams and live in a way that is more aligned with how you used to be. Because I think you're coming into a perspective that your life, the way that things have been going and the way that things will continue to go, are all going to be based on how you are now seeing yourself. You're seeing yourself in a new light, more confident, more clearly, more passionately. Those are all things that are coming up. And I think Spirit really wanted you to understand that yes, you are grounded, but there's this need to kind of get above yourself and realize who you are. And maybe you've been getting into more spirituality lately. And that's just a way that Spirit's been utilizing you to really look at, this world around you and kind of get out of your stuckness that you may have had in the 3D. Because this world, this life that we live in, it's so much bigger than our day-to-day. We're going to pull 2 cards from the Green Witch Oracle and see what Spirit has to say before we jump into the tarot. That's beautiful energy though, Virgo. I'm really happy that you're going through that. The first one we have is called Mortar and Pestle. I'll read the small print when we get the second one. What else do you have? Thank you, Spirit. All right. There's a couple of cards that are coming up that came up in the Cancer reading. So if you have any Cancer in your chart, you might want to check that weekly reading out as well. So you have Mortar and Pestle. It says ingredients, subtlety, and thoroughness. Ingredients, subtlety, and thoroughness. Which sounds like Virgo. It sounds very much so like Virgo. And then you have Snow, rest and contemplation. And this is a card along with the full moon that Cancer got for the weekly reading. So definitely check that out if you have Cancer placements. So what I'm seeing here with this first card, a mortar and pestle is used to get things down to the grit, to make things into small particles, kind of like this perspective card that you got here where it's like we're just a small speck in the universe, right? What I'm seeing here is that Spirit wanted you to understand that there was all these little parts of yourself that you needed to integrate, that you needed to grind down into like a fine powder or a fine paste that would help you to uncover the parts of yourself that were kind of scattered. You had to understand why the childhood trauma has happened. You had to understand why maybe things weren't going well with your health or with a job situation, why finances have been possibly a burden, why maybe you didn't get that career that you thought you would as a kid. There's this need for you to understand that through integrating all the parts of you, the good, the bad, the ugly, the sad, right? There's this entirety of something that you can make from that. So what was once difficult and undigestible and unable to be processed by the body, when you use a mortar and pestle, it creates it into something that can be utilized, can be broken down, and better, used in like a food that you're making or something like that. Nobody wants to eat a whole entire cinnamon stick, but if you ground it down into cinnamon powder, there's so many different ways that you can use that. Even for spells. I did that recently with some of my spells. But there's this part of you again, Virgo, to get back on topic, where Spirit wants you to know that even the most subtle, the smallest things that you began to integrate over these last 6 months, they're starting to show, and the way that you're going after what it is that you want for your life. I'm also feeling from this energy all of a sudden, if there's any childhood traumas that you had to work through over these last 6 months, that is really speaking through this mortar and pestle. There was parts of your childhood that you really had to break down and say, this is why I'm this way. And this is my first step to fixing those things. With the rest and contemplation, the energy of this card, like I was telling Cancer, and I'll tell you as well, we always feel this need to be busy, busy, busy. Virgo, you're very organized, you're very practical, you're hardworking, you do a lot for others. But there's this need for you to kind of slow down, rest, contemplate on how far you've come over this last 6 months. Understand that we are in the winter, which I love this card because it literally shows a snowflake. We are in the winter and we are supposed to rest during this time. A lot of people, because we live in this society where everyone's so busy and always moving and grooving and doing what they need to do to make a dollar, we often forget to just take a moment to just live and breathe and integrate all the parts of ourselves that we've been working through over these last few months, these last few years. And Spirit is saying it's okay for you to rest. It's okay for you to take that time to give to yourself the way that you give to others. And during this full moon, again, we have this moon here, you are going to find a lot of clarity, peace of mind, and you're going to be able to move forward in a way that you haven't been able to before. I see a lot of you really moving through your 12th house. I want to say that it is the Virgo's 12th house for the Virgo rising, that Leo is your 12th house. I want to say that. I want to say it is. And so there's a completion of this really like dark night of the soul energy that you've been going through, and Spirit is like, rest, integrate. The winter is here. You're going to be okay. So we're going to go ahead and put these to the side, my dear Virgo. We're going to pull 4 tarot cards for you. On the bottom of this deck, I saw this, so I wanted to point this out. You got Earthworm. It says clarity and rumination. So there's a lot that you need to think about, that you need to process. And I think you're going to have a beautiful, beautiful next 6 months, because you integrated so many things that you learned over these last 6 months since we had the new moon in Leo. All right. Spirit, for my dear Virgo, we're going to pull 4 cards to kind of clear up this message. Anything that you would like them to know. All right. We got the Temperance in reverse. I do read reversals. We got the 8 of Water, which is the 8 of Cups. We have the Ace of Air, which is like the Ace of Swords. And in this deck, it kind of gives me the Queen of Swords vibes. You'll see why. And last but not least, Spirit, what is our 4th card for my dear Virgo? This one flipped over in the deck. We have 2 of Fire, which is 2 of Wands. Bottom of the deck, we have 3 of Air. Wow. There has been so much hurt. I hate to say that, over this last 6 months. A lot of mentally taxing, emotionally jarring situations that you've had to go through. That's why your perspective on a lot of things has changed, Virgo. You really had to go deep. You had to look at yourself. You had to go, okay, what is it, Spirit, that you're having me uncover, unearth, get through? And why? I feel that question of like, and why? But it's because there was things out of balance in your life with the Temperance in reverse. That Spirit was like, we need to get things moving forward, and we need to get things back on track, Virgo. When we live in a disharmonious lifestyle, when we don't take accountability for how our life is going, when we're not positive, when we're not making strides for ourselves, we do go through trials and tribulations that are emotionally tasking. And I feel like when Spirit shows us the Temperance in reverse, he's saying, you're not pouring into your own cup the way that you should, because in the traditional tarot, you'll see Archangel Michael pouring water back and forth into 2 chalices. And so here you can see in the upright position, it's kind of like a moth. This is her arm, and there's water flowing on both sides. There's a lot of equilibrium, a lot of just being stable. When you're upside down and the Temperance is in reverse, it's like there's this overflow of water in the wrong direction. It's almost like you've been drowning, is what I'm feeling. Like you've been drowning in a lot of situations, lack, scarcity mindsets, health issues, dealing with childhood traumas, coming to realization that life is not infinite. You know, there's a lot that you've come to understand. And through it all, my favorite symbol, the butterfly, has been here to help you transform and to let go of the things that don't serve you. The 8 of Water is like the 8 of Cups. And the 8 of Cups is you walking away from emotionally depleting spaces, places, people, mindsets even. And I see that as you're going on this journey, you know that there's more to come. There's a lot more to come. But you see more clearly. These almost look like little eyes to me, if we can zoom in. I don't know if they are. But it's like third eye activation. You moving through this metamorphosis that you've been going through and understanding that the clarity that you have received, the shadows that you had to fight, there's so much enlightenment that you have gotten now. You didn't back down, and if you did, it wasn't for long. You got back up, and you decided that life isn't going to happen to you. You're going to happen to life. And that full moon, again, completion. I feel like she's holding the moon in her hand. This full moon is going to allow you to activate and move forward and build and have more clarity about how life is supposed to be for you. Why you had to go through all of this. It's because it prepared you for where God is taking you, where Spirit's leading you, where the divine has promised you to go. And now, with the Two of Fire, which I love, I see you finally having to make some definite decisions, deciding where to next. You're not just letting life happen to you anymore. You're not letting, this Temperance in reverse energy happen to you. You're happening to it. You're saying enough is enough. I'm taking my life into my hands. I really feel like this person looks like they're like screaming almost, but it's not really a face. I don't know what that is. But they're saying, I know there's a whole world out there for me, and I want to gain more clarity in my life. I want to go on this new journey, and I want to be the one who invests in myself and in my future and decides where I go and, stepping up. I feel you stepping up because you're like, I'm not going to let life get me down like this. I'm very proud of you, Virgo. I'm really, really excited to see how this message is resonating for you, what childhood traumas you're healing, what childhood dreams you're starting to live out, how this full moon in Leo is going to bring so much completion into your life. Tell me about the perspective changes that you've gone through. Remember to rest through this winter that we're going through and all the little things that got you down, all the tiny particles that made you sad, right? That gave you this Three of Swords energy, had you reaching up for hope. It's all going to be worth it because underneath that three of air was the Ace of Earth. There's a blessing coming for you, Virgo. There's a blessing that's just waiting for you. So with all that being said, leave me a comment if any of this resonates and let me know how this week is kind of working out for you. Are you starting on a new journey? Are you beginning a new path? You can check me out on Instagram. Check out my bio. It'll have all my information. You can follow me at Tiffany's Tarology. I'd love to also do a one-on-one reading with you if you guys are interested. So let's stay connected. And again, Virgo, I will see you on the next one. Bye, guys.